Hey guys, welcome to our review of Kamen Rider 01, episode 43. As always, I'm your host, President Stratos. Here with me today we have
Cinder Blaze.
my dude, welcome back. But before we get started, just wanted to mention off the top that there are still links in the description down below to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by donating money, signing petitions, whatever you do, as long as you do it, it absolutely helps. But with that said, let's hop into our review and then dive into a few of your thoughts. But yeah, this was another mind-blowing episode. And what made it, what gave it a little extra, I guess, visual oomph was that we didn't wait until the end to have that really incredible fight scene with Arc 1. It was just throughout the episode. We got everything was so considered. Everything was so well done in terms of a fight. Like, there wasn't just some patty cake happening in one of the fights. It was full-on fights all the way through, and it looked great.
Yeah, they were focused, and they had a purpose too. The first fight we see is when Team Thouser basically goes and has to confront Arc 1 because they're, Fua and Yaiba aren't really ordered to, but they're part of the police force or whatever, so they're gonna go.
Well, it's that, and they want to save their friend,
Yeah, but in that fight, it just was a show that it's Aruto in control of that suit.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was really necessary, because if we go into the second fight where it's basically Hirobi versus Arc 1, it's not the same if it's Aruto getting mind controlled. It's no, this is Aruto, and this is a grudge match. And man, did that freaking show this episode.
Yeah, man. And it's not something we get often, but when a character dies in Rider, they're usually upset about it. Maybe they lash out a little bit. But we get this visual representation, not just of really nice choreography and walking through people, but the whole suit, the whole aesthetic changes, the tone shifts around the character and gives us something so elevated and just amps up that anguish and that despair that he's feeling, and it hits so much harder when the show leans in like this, and I don't think I've ever sort of seen it to this degree.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a writer kind of kill their friend in such a long time. Aruto and Jin were allies for the latter half of the series, and he was just so focused in on his hate for Hirobi that he didn't even see that coming. He definitely has the power to do so, but he did not care. Mm-hmm. And the way he kind of shakes it off, after he's just stumbling, he's oh no.
Yeah.
If there was any damage to be done to Aruto in that fight, it was right then and there. Oh man.
I love how it's such a clash of emotions, and my theory about Izu having full control over the situation is waning a little bit, because they've brought Jin back before. He could potentially come back, but the weight in that moment, even for some of the X8 deaths, and this is I'm pulling this comparison out because it is the same writer. I don't know about the specific episodes, but overall I thought it was the same writer. With some of those deaths, it was oh darn, I guess they'll be gone for a day. We'll bring them back. But this, I feel like we're moving at such a pace, and the emotions are so high that, and the tensions are so high as well, and they're trying to stop this oncoming storm, and they're at such a desperate point where I'm able to get swept away by the emotion of it. Oh shoot, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's gone for right now. And it doesn't matter if he comes back. It's what's happening to Hirobi now because of it. What's happening to Aruto now because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like the plot is basically getting dragged by these characters' emotions. Like it's all for them, and they're kind of like forcing the plot on their own like path. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Gaim, where Gaim is doing his own thing, Baron is doing his own thing, and it's just like their actions that are just constantly like building up the plot instead of just them like having a plot and then just like forcing the characters down that road.
Sure.
Just,
Yeah.
like we needed like that to happen, or like Jin's death to like occur for there to be like the possibility of Hirobi getting Arc 1, but like we need like him to kind of like feel those emotions. We need all those connections to like actually be happening, and like he has to like kind of take the initiative against like Aruto, and who knows where you're gonna go with this, because like those guys are like on a league entirely on their own. Like in the first part of the episode, like Aruto basically destroys Thouser's belt, and like I'm like, the second I saw that, I was just like, oh, we're at that point in the series, and we can start breaking these things.
That leads me to something that I really want to see, and I said this in the like right after we'd watched it, but I really want to see them pick up some raid risers and just keep fighting. I have a feeling they'll just be like, a business dude is gonna say, hey, we got more Thouser stuff, you're fine, and then, hey, we made it so that you guys are still authorized, or you can use the shot rises or whatever without it, blah blah blah. But I do want to see them pick up those other raid rises. That would be so cool for them, because you know me, I've said this a few times when we've reviewed things, but I really love it when heroes lose their powers and still try to fight. I mean, they would still pick up powers, but it wouldn't be as strong. But it's still them trying to do the right thing. So that would be really.
I feel like that's one of the primary reasons why like Kamen Rider Drive still kind of like sticks in my mind as one of my favorite writers. Like the show probably wasn't like the best overall, but like definitely like the character kind of like lasted in my head because of it.
They had like you said, once again, this is a conversation we had right after. It was like pretty good opening stuff, and then dipped really hard, and then shot right back up. And I feel like that's sort of what is happening for 01, except the dip in the middle for us was not too long, like probably not as long as like Drive's dip.
Yeah, and like for that one, it's like really easy to kind of like pinpoint where the faults are. It's not like an overall like show quality. It's more like this particular thing is like really dragging on, and it's only that thing. Everything else is kind of like fine, but it's building up, and like the way it did build up is like always kind of like feeding into these final episodes, like Jin and like Aruto's relationship, Jin and Hirobi's relationship, like Izu and Naruto, like all these things just kind of like building towards like this awesome climax.
Right.
Yeah, and whew.
I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm also excited to check out what you guys have to say, because this was a meaty episode. This was packed. Let's see here. Our first comment comes from Double the Unknown. Of course, he says, Hirobi's getting a new form? I started my rewatch of the show this week, only 4 episodes in so far. And Hirobi versus Aruto has always seemed like the proper final matchup for the show. Though they were all probably hoping Guy would have died by now. Despite all my theories and writing analyses I've done in the past, the only ending I can picture currently is something similar to Blade. If you haven't watched Blade, you can probably pick up on what I'm referencing. If you haven't watched a Blade tribute in Geo, also, I'm just gonna leave it at is probably like Blade. I haven't seen it, and I do kind of want to see it. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, those older writer series have some dank endings.
All right. Now we go to Yuki Miyazaki. That's a lot. Thank you for writing so much. You have a lot here. So, since you guys decided not to watch the preview for the next episode, I won't mention anything about it.
Thank you.
Specifically, how Izu comes back. I'm kidding.
I'm reading the comment. Don't even
Oh,
try.
damn it! This episode really proofing Guy whole statement about malice passing down from human to human to human gear, as we see Hirobi now is similar to Aruto's to come to anger and sadness, and they want to kill each other essentially now. This could have been prevented if Jin stopped Hirobi from shooting Izu in the prior episode, but the damage have already been done. I'm really curious now, X8 Rider going to end this series. Hopefully they didn't have to end it using movie as the true ending for the show, but I could see this happening because it's Toei we're talking about here. Sadly, again, I can't talk about my theory because you decided not to watch the preview, so yeah, can't wait for Reiwa first potential bad ending. So, the notion that there is another ending to be had in a movie. I recently had a discussion with my friend Malunas on Soto Pop, and he was saying, I don't even think it was on the actual show. It was just off mic. We were talking about Decade and its finale, and apparently there are two versions of the ending, because what Toei had done was that they said, hey, this is the last episode, but the conclusion, like the actual ending, is the movie, so you have to go watch that. And then the government was like, oh, no, that's not okay. You actually have to end your show or whatever. And that can't just be your ending, because that's too much of like an advertisement for a movie. You know what I mean? So they sort of cut it up and turned that into like their final episode into an ending. And by the way, neither of those things eventually ended up being a proper ending anyway, so it didn't matter. But the point is, they can't really do a thing where they don't end their show. And Xaid, to its credit, it did end. Like, there was a conclusion. So I don't feel like we're running into a situation where there's not going to be a satisfying one.
Yeah. It just feels like with the pace that things are going at right now, like, will we have time to kind of like wrap up everything into like a good end, or like how will the fallout be for a bad end? Like, we do have 2 episodes and they probably could do it in those 2, but it feels like there's a little bit more that could be done in the series than like X8 had its final episode, because they had like one random person who could have like shot off and like done like another ending for the series, but although we did get this new guy for Zaya Enterprises, like I don't know. I think like since he has a lot of stuff with Jin, we have so much more we can do with this series.
And like I think there was a discussion going around. None of this is confirmed, but you know, the whole pandemic stuff happened, so they could have put like pandemic stuff happened. They didn't get, you know, more episodes. Like they didn't get more of an episode count. Their ending date stayed the same, I believe. So there's an idea out there that, you know, they got less episodes to conclude their stuff with. So it might end up being rushed, but the thing is, sometimes writer shows take too long to just end, because Build sort of petered out at the end and then finally ended.
Yeah. Like for this series, I feel like the Azu stuff definitely took a hit because of that.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like she was such an ambiguous part of it anyway that I'm okay with it. You know. Yeah. And she's interesting now. So
yeah.
And on top of that, I really like the sort of taking a familiar face, someone you know, and just sort of twisting that. So, I think that in itself, the utility of them having the same face is really neat. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for leaving your comments and watching this episode. If you liked it, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Tell us in the comments down below what you thought about our
about the thoughts of
GMTC.
everyone.
No.
And yeah.
There are links in the description down below to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by donating money, signing petitions, whatever you do, as long as you actually do it, as long as you go in there, click some links and search around for something, some petitions to sign or some places to donate. As long as you do that, it absolutely helps. Guys, thanks for watching. Keep it
Yeah. See you later.
I was really happy with that discussion.
Yeah. I mean, this was a really good episode to discuss. So
there's a lot of meat, there's a lot of stuff to unpack, and just the win for me is that I